اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. خل المقادير تمضي لا تغالبها، فإن من غالب الأقدار مغلوب. إن القضاء لسيف لا يقاومه شيء من الخلق إلا وهو محبوب. وامشي رويدا مع الأقدار في مهل، فإن من يكره الأقدار متعوب. سلم وفوض لحكم الله محتسبا، فإنما الأمر مقضي ومكتوب. والله يقضي بما شاء وكيف يشاء، والعبد عبد ومخلوق ومربوب. ولم يزل ربه الرحمن يكلأه باللطف والحفظ محفوف ومصحوب. حسن ظنونك بالرب الكريم ولا تسيء.
Testing, test, mic test.
فتبقى عنه محجوب. واعمل لنفسك أعمالا تسر بها، فكل ما يفعل الإنسان محسوب. إن كان خيرا فخير سوف يحصده، أو كان شرا فتنكيل وتعذيب. يا ويل من ضيع الأعمار في زلل، وكل من كسبه الآثام والحوب. واطلب علوما مع إقبال مع عمل، فأنت
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, we begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We pray that Allah bless our lesson tonight, and we pray that Allah make this lesson and reason where our sins are forgiven, our prayers are answered inshallah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us in His goodness in dunya and goodness in akhirah. And may Allah open for us doors of understanding. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. So inshallah we will continue from where we stopped in the Aqaid of Al-Imam Nasafi. We have come into the part anywhere the author mentioned والاستطاعة مع الفعل. وهي حقيقة القدرة التي يكون بها الفعل ويقع هذا الاسم على سلامة الأسباب والآلات والجوارح. So before we speak about this part, let us mention a few things what we have spoken last week. We were speaking about the meaning of al-kasb. In Aqidah, we have this particular terminology where our scholars mention kasb. So basically what we mention is that the actions of human beings are a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are unable to create our own action. So when an action happens, it is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah bless us with rewards for that action, or punishments based on that action, and the fact that that actions reflect on our intention and the choices that we make. So last week I was mentioning that human beings are given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the ability to make choices. So we are not creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that are forced, but we are given choices, and it is based on the choices that we make. Allah bless us with rewards and punishment. But when it comes to the actions of human beings, so we say this is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So maybe we go through one more time what we covered last week. Last week we were mentioning this part where the author mentioned والله تعالى خالق لأفعال العباد كلها, that Allah is the creator of the actions of human beings, all of it. This is the emphasis from the author. من الكفر والإيمان والطاعة والعصيان. So these are the examples, the actions when it comes to disbelief. A person disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or a person believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, acts of obedience, acts of disobedience, all of it are creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all of it happens based on the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what the author mentioned after that. He said وَهِيَ كُلُّهَا بِإِرادَتِهِ. All of this happens by the will of Allah, ومشيئته وحكمه وقضيته وحكمه وقضيته, يعني his ruling and his decree, and his qada and qadar, the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the things that Allah has ordained, or the ordainment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is what we mentioned, that all of the actions, whether it is good actions or bad actions, all of it are creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So basically we as Muslims, we believe that everything that comes into existence, it is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the author mentioned وَلِلْعباد أفعال اختيارية, that human beings have actions that are based on the choices that he makes. And I mentioned last week that the actions of human beings are divided into two parts. We have actions that are not based on choices, and we have actions that are based on choices. So actions that are not based on choices, for example, the beating of our hearts. The beating of our hearts is an example that this is not based on our choice, because when we are sleeping, our hearts still beats. So it beats not by our choice, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of this action of the movement of our hearts. But when it comes to other actions like walking and sitting and eating and drinking, now this is based on our choices. This is what the author mentioned, أفعال اختيارية, that human beings will be blessed with rewards if he does acts of obedience, and likewise if he does acts of non-obedience, he will be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here what the author is trying to say is that despite our actions and creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we will be rewarded or punished based on the actions that we have the choices to make. So this is the difference between the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah and Jabriya, because in Jabriya they believe that human beings got no choice, that human beings are forced by Allah. But Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, al-Asha'ira al-Maturidiyya mentioned that human beings are given the ability to make choices, and that the actions are a reflection of the choices that human beings make, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless human beings with those rewards by the choices that human beings make. And then lastly, we spoke about al-Hasn wal-Qabih. The author mentioned al-Hasn minha b'irada'illah, that good things are based on what Allah is pleased with. Meaning, something that is good is what Allah sees it as good, and what is bad is what Allah mentioned it as bad. So good and bad, it goes back to the definition by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not by the human intellect. And this is the difference between the Ahlul Sunnah and the Mu'tazila, because the Mu'tazila, they believe that goodness is something that human intellect perceive as something that is good, whereas bad things are what is perceived by the human intellect as something that is bad. That is the viewpoint of the Mu'tazila. Of course, it is falsehood, but the reality is that what is good is what is mentioned by Allah as good, and what is bad is what is mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as bad. So for example, having faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is good. Disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bad. Although human beings they differ. There are people who does not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they thought that they are doing something that is good based on their intellect or based on their understanding. But here we mention good and bad, and it comes from Allah. Good and bad is something that has been laid out by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, pertaining to what is good and what is bad. And then he mentioned wal-istita'a. Al-istita'a basically the ability. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless human beings with the ability. For example, before we do a particular action, and for example we ask the question, now we are sitting down. If I ask the question, do we have the ability to walk? Now we are sitting down. Do we have the ability to walk? So the answer is yes, and we have the ability to walk. When we look at our physical situation, that we find ourselves having the legs to walk, and we find ourselves having the means, that we know that this is within our capacity, that we are able to walk. That me, for example, I'm able to stand. So this is called al-istita'a. Al-istita'a qabla al-fi'li. Al-istita'a qabla al-fi'li. And before I perform in that particular action, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless me with this ability, that I'm able to perform in that particular action. Meaning that particular action is within my capacity. Like I'm able to eat and drink now. For example, I'm able to drink, I'm able to walk, I'm able to stand, I'm able to talk, I'm able to think. So this is the ability that Allah bless us with. So there is ability before we perform a particular action, and the ability when performing that particular action. So again, this is about the definition of kasb, because when we speak about kasb, we are speaking about the action when we are performing it, the action and the ability when we are performing it. So wal-istita'atu ma'al fi'li. Wal-istita'atu ma'al fi'li. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with this ability, that we are able to walk, that we are able to run. So this ability is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in us, that Allah created in us. But it is not this ability is not the thing that gives effect to our action, but it is a means to our action. It is a means to our action. So for example, Allah gave me the ability to walk. Now I'm not walking. So when I walk, the ability to walk, is something that Allah blessed me with. But the action of walking is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The action of walking is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the meaning of kasb, which I mentioned many times, it is the linkage between the ability to walk and the action of walking. This linkage, this relation between the ability to walk, and the action of walking in itself. This relation what we meant by al-kasb. So here we have to understand that it is not our ability, that gives effect to our action, but the one that gives effect to our action is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create our action of walking. But at the same time, Allah gave us the ability that we are able, that within our capacity to walk. So this is what the author is is saying, and the author is saying, والاستطاعة مع الفعل. What is the meaning of استطاعة مع الفعل? So there are two things here. Number one, the ability to perform an action and the action in itself. So we mentioned that Allah gave us the ability to perform an action, and upon we perform that particular action, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the action. So Allah make this ability that He gave us as a means for that action. But in reality, the action is created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon our intending to perform that particular action. So this is where he mentioned وَهِيَ حَقِيقَةُ الْقُدْرَةِ الَّتِي يَكُونُ بِهَا الْفِعْلُ. So the reality of the power that enable a particular action to happen, it is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah make our ability, the istita'a, as an asbab for that particular action. وَيَقَعُ هَذَا الْإِسْمُ عَلَى سَلَامَةِ الْأَسْبَابِ وَالْآلَاتِ وَالْجَوَارِحِ. Then here the author mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this ability by the means of having salamatil asbab, al-alat. Yeah, for example, earlier I gave the example of walking. So walking, what do human beings need for him to perform the action of walking? So human beings need of two legs. That the two legs must not be paralyzed. The two legs that must function healthy. That human beings are able to walk. So this situation and this health is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah bless human beings. Likewise, Allah gave us the ability to see. Allah gave us the ability for us to hear. That we are able to hear. The action of hearing is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But our ears are asbab. That we are able to hear the noises around us. Our eyes is an asbab, that we are able to see the things around us. Our tongue is a means that we are able to speak. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created everything. Our sight is a creation of Allah. Our sense of hearing is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our ears is just a means. Our eyes is just a means. Our tongue is just a means. But in reality, Allah is the one who created our sense of sight, our sense of hearing, our ability to walk, our ability to run. This is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and likewise the action itself. And Allah bless us with this capacity, which He made it as a means for the actions to come. And then He mentioned the wisdom behind it. He said, وَصِحَّةُ التَّكْلِيفِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless human beings with taklif, bless human beings with the ability to think, the ability to see, the ability to seek knowledge, the ability to speak, the ability to hear. So all these things are given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this becomes the conditions of taklif. The conditions of taklif. So in fiqh, for example, we say that if a person reaches puberty, and he has the senses, that he is able to seek knowledge, and is able to ponder upon the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is a mukallaf, and the da'wah of Islam has reached him. So now only human beings is considered to be a mukallaf, that he is tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if Allah created a person, for example, blind and unable to hear and unable to speak, then this particular person is not amongst the mukallaf. So our senses are the asbab. Our senses are the asbab. But the action of us learning, the ability of us able to see and hear and all these things, all these are the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our senses are the means that we are able to seek any knowledge, or we are able to see, and so on and so forth. So this is where the author mentioned وَصِحَّةُ التَّكْلِيفِ تَعْتَمِدُ هَذِهِ الْإِسْتِطَاعَةِ. So when we speak about the validity of taklif, it goes back to these conditions, that human beings must have the proper senses in order for us to say that now he is accountable for the actions that he is doing. So I hope it is clear inshallah. the author is basically speaking about the issue of kasab. The issue of kasab, and this is the same thing that we mentioned when we are speaking in Aqidah Nasafiyyah. Last time when we in Nasafiyyah, so we mentioned about the difference between the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the kasbul insan. The creation, Allah created our actions, but those actions are held accountable for us. Accountable for us because it is a result of our intention and the choices that we make. And Allah gave us the ability to make those choices, and Allah gave us the ability by our body parts and by our health, by our sense of hearing, by our sense of sight. All these abilities given by Allah, but they are not the ones that gives the effect. They are the means, they are the asbab. Sihhatu taklif, yes, we become mukallaf by these conditions, but Allah is the creator of our actions, and Allah is the creator of our understanding, of our sight, of our hearing, and so on and so forth. And then the author mentioned wala yukallaful abdu lima laysa fi wus'ihi, that human beings, a servant, human beings will not be burdened by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with something that is not within his capacity. So when we look at human beings, for example, Allah gave human beings certain abilities. We are able to perform prayers. We are able to fast. We are able to travel for Hajj. We are able to pay the zakah. That we are able to take wudu. All this is within our capacity. We do not have the ability to fly for example. We do not have the ability to run faster than a cheetah. We do not have the ability to do certain things. The ability to do certain things, and we have shortcomings and so on and so forth. So the Sharia, when it comes to the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is by the fadl of Allah, by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He legislated for us the actions that are within our capacity. And this is from the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what Allah mentioned in the Quran, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah will not burden a particular soul except by which that is able to perform. So Allah gave us this capacity, gave us this ability, and then Allah sent the revelation and the commandments, and all of this is within our capacity. So He is the one who created our actions, and all those actions are held accountable for us, because we are the ones who are making those choices whether to perform or not to perform. So all this relation is what we speak about the meaning of kasbul insan, the actions of human beings, and the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of those actions. And then he goes on to give more examples, and he said وَمَا يُوجَدُ مِنَ الْأَلَمِ فِي الْمَضْرُوبِ. Now he speaks about the pain. For example, if you beat someone, that person feels the pain. That person feels the pain. This is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now when we say the action of beating, is makhluk, is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Likewise, the effect of that action, is also a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whether we are speaking about the action itself, or the effect of that action, all of it are a creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he gave the second example, where he mentioned wal inkisaru fi zujaj aqiba kasri insan. Yani if a person for example throws a ball at the window, at the glass, and the glass breaks, and this is the meaning of zujaj. The glass breaks after a person beats it, or a person throws a ball. So all these actions and the effect of that particular action, all of it, the author mentioned kullu dhalika makhluqun lillahi ta'ala. All of these are creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what he's trying to say is basically that your actions is a creation of Allah, and the effects of your creation, your action, Just like you beat someone, or you throw something at the glass, and the glass breaks. So all these series of events are actions, are creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La sun'a lil abdi fi takhliqihi. So human beings do not have any ability to initiate any action. Human beings does not have the ability to initiate any action. So this is the principle, and we say none can give any effect except Allah. None can give any effect in the creations except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the only creator. There is none other creator than Allah. Nothing can bring something from non-existence to existence except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing can bring something from non-existence to existence except by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And human beings do not have any ability to create any effect, or to bring about any actions, or to bring about any effects. La sun'a lil abdi fi takhliqihi. So human beings do not have any ability to bring about creation. So creation is only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some people asking, for example, in the Quran, there are a few verses that has to be explained, because outwardly, literally, it can confuse some people who doesn't understand about these principles. For example, you have in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned it in the Quran this is pertaining to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah mentioned وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ, meaning ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you do not shoot when you shoot, but Allah is the one who shoots. Literally, it means like that. So what is the meaning? When Allah said, ya Muhammad, it is not you who shoot. Rami meaning shooting. Last time, it can also mean throwing. So last time in the battlefield, people use bow and arrow. This is rimaya. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ. When you shoot, ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is not you who shoot, but it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is the meaning? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he shoot, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, ya Muhammad, the action of shooting, it is not from your creation, but it is ascribed to you as kasab. That's what we mentioned. It is ascribed to you as kasab. But the action, the creation of the action of shooting comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the meaning. وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ. So Allah is saying that you do not create the action of shooting when you are shooting kasban, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of the action of shooting. So this is how we understand this particular verse. Then we have the verse, Tabarakallahu ahsanul khaliqeen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he speaks about how he created human beings in the wombs of the mothers. In the last verse, Allah mentioned Tabarakallah ahsanul khaliqeen. All glory to be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ahsanul khaliqeen. Ahsanul khaliqeen, our scholars mentioned the meaning is ahsanul muqaddirin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he make things into stages. And this is the meaning of taqdeer, that Allah is the best of the ones who place things into the proper stages. So it doesn't mean that there are other creators other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only Allah brings something from non-existence to existence. So certain verses like this, it has to be explained, especially when people are reading the Quran or reading any translation. These are some of the things that has to be understood in this manner. So basically, what is important for us Muslims to understand that other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not have any ability to create anything from non-existence to existence. Then the author mentioned wal maqtulu mayyitun bi ajalihi. A person who is killed, al maqtul. For example, we hear news for example, there are people yani na'udzubillah min zalik, yani they are killed yani in a bomb blast, or there are people yani who are stabbed, yani for example maqtul, they are killed. So outwardly the killer yani initiate any this killing, and death any comes any upon any this particular person. So as Muslims, any the author any is saying wal maqtul, yani the person any who is killed, and he passed away because of his ajal. He passed away any because any of what? Because any of the decree that the time yani of his death any has come. And the act yani of killing any is just a means. Is just any a means any for that ajal. So today yani we hear, for example, people pass away because of diabetes, people pass away because of COVID, people pass away because of car crash, or being killed, and so on and so forth. All this any are means. But the reality any is that the ajal any has come. What is the meaning of ajal? Yani ajal any is a decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of the death any of a particular person. Wal ajalu wahid, and the decree any is one. It is not any many. Yani meaning any sometimes any a person escape death. Does it mean any that the ajal comes but he managed any to escape any from the ajal? No. The ajal any of a person, meaning the date of death any has already been ordained by Allah, and it is one. When the time any comes, human beings any will die. When the time of the ajal comes, human beings any will die. But if a person any escape death, any what does it mean? It means any that the ajal of this person has not come yet. And if, for example, there are 40 passengers any in a plane, and the plane crash, all 39 any pass away, except any for one person. So what anyway we say any is that the ajal any of this person has not come, so that is why any he did not die. The ajal of this person any has not come. Any the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when comes into the death any of this person has not any taken place yet, and he has not any reached that point any of time. So that is why any he is still any alive. And then any he mentioned wal haramu rizqun. The haram any is also considered to be rizq, and the halal any is rizq. Any at the end of the day, any everything is a creation any of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala any he creates any the halal, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates any haram any as a test any for human beings, and it is up any to human beings any to consume any from the halal or consume any from the haram. But is the haram any considered to be rizq? Yes. Yani it is a creation any of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa kullun yustawfa rizqu nafsihi halalan kana aw haraman. And rizq any of a person has been ordained any by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it is halal any or whether any it is haram any, meaning any Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows whether a particular person any will consume any from the halal or he will consume any from the haram. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yani has ordained, and human beings any they are held accountable any for the food any that they consume. If they consume any the halal any, they will be rewarded any by Allah. If they consume any the haram any, they will be punished any by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يُتَصَوَّرُ أَنْ لَا يَأْكُلَ إِنسَانٌ رِزْقَهُ أَوْ يَأْكُلَ رِزْقَ غَيْرِهِ. And it cannot any be accepted or be imagined that human beings do not yani consume any from the sustenance that has been ordained any by Allah, or he consume any the sustenance any of others when Allah yani has ordained any his sustenance. And basically what any the author any is saying, that when comes into the risk of a person, the sustenance any of a person, everything any has been ordained any by Allah, and anything that is ordained any by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take place. And it is impossible that Allah ordained any something any happens, but yani it does not yani happen, because everything any is within the knowledge any of Allah, and everything any happens by the knowledge any of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and by the will any of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu ta'ala yudillu man yasha wa yahdi man yasha. And the author yani mentioned when comes any to hidayah, Allah yani is the one yani who bless any people yani with guidance, and Allah yani is the one who is the one yani who makes who created any misguidance any for people, and he guides any whomever yani he wishes, and he misguide any whomever yani he wishes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one yani who is the possessor yani of the possessor of guidance. So that is why it is important for all of us to ask Allah for guidance. So when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance, now this is the thing that we are in need of. We pray that Allah bless us with tawfiq and hidayah, and may Allah bless us with goodness in dunya and akhirah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from all difficulties, trials and tribulations, and from all calamities and viruses. And may Allah bless us with husnul khatima. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.